When did fake it until you make it backfire? I hired a Mandarin translator for a game I'm developing. Ran her translations through Google Translate to find they were a good match. Too good a match. Showed it to a friend of mine who's from China. Told me the translator just Google translated everything and that the end result was barely comprehensible. A writer I know decided he could make easy money writing romance novels under a false name, even though he didn't like romance novels at all. Turns out it wasn't that easy, but he was very good at it and got stuck writing romance novels for a living for a while, hating his job and not having time to write anything he actually wanted to write. I'm picturing Stephen King being afraid of the dark. Stephen King has all kinds of phobias and superstitions, so you're probably in the right trail. When, due to a tight budget on a magazine I edited, way back when, we couldn't afford a fashion correspondent, so I did it myself under an assumed female name. I'm male, and didn't tell anyone. Surprisingly, it was quite well received. Ran for 3 months or so before I got invited to a clothing launch. Just say it was a pen name. Getting an internship and realizing IDK what the duck I'm doing, and I had to learn a lot real fast before they caught on. Edit. Forgot to mention how it backfired. LMAO. My first week I was bad at maintaining consistent communication and my manager, very professionally, reamed me out over the phone, and after he hung up I cried in an office room for an hour, but I never made that mistake again. Take a lot of notes, Google everything, smile, and nod. I'll be the number 2 in Scranton in 6 weeks. How? Name repetition, personality mirroring, and never breaking off a handshake. Fee Festival definitely comes to mind. That was just fraud, lol. I mean, he was definitely faking it. Based on the documentaries, it seems like they could have pulled off the cruise ship idea. There was a market for this event. People were willing to pay for it. They just needed people who knew what they were doing to execute it. Brazilian soccer star Carlos Kaiser was able to maintain a career that spanned nearly 2 decades while playing in as few games as possible and never scoring a goal. Kaiser would often carry a fake cell phone with him, pretending to answer calls from interested English clubs in order to make himself appear more valuable to his teammates and coaches. He would also fake injuries during practices, then ride out his contract a few months, collecting paychecks along the way. The long con, a true hustler. Got a job working in an insurance company reviewing contracts. Had no ducking idea what I was doing and thought I could just learn it and I'd be fine eventually. Lasted 6 months and they kicked me out. Similar story for me. Got a job at a mortgage broker. Their limited training was meant for people who had already worked in the industry, not newbies like me. I'm good at test taking, so I passed the mortgage originator licensing exam on the first try. Had no idea what I was doing trying to sell mortgages though, and without income from commissions I was making minimum wage. Eventually the boss found out I was applying for other jobs, gave me an ultimatum. Quit looking for other jobs or quit working for him. I asked him for a box to carry my stuff out. Place went under in 6 months anyway. I went on to get a job I was qualified for, that I've now had for 10 years. I was 8 years old and I told my dance teacher I could do a backbend. I couldn't, so she moved me up a level in acro and put me in a special role for our recital. For the next week my mom tried to help me get a backbend, but it wasn't happening and I had to come clean. Luckily she didn't get too mad. I had to move back down a level, but I still got to keep my special role. Reminds me of when Joey from Friends fakes his resume for a part in a musical, lol. It hasn't yet. Everyone still thinks I'm human. Mark Zuckerberg, is that you? Ted Cruz. When I was a teenager I got a weed brownie from my dealer. I had never done edibles before, so I was super excited. I decided to eat it before Thanksgiving, so I would have a nice high and all this good food to eat. He warned me that it was strong, and to only eat half of it. I ate the half, and after like 15 minutes I wasn't feeling anything, so I decided to eat the other half too. I didn't know that with edibles it takes a while to kick in, and wasn't instant like smoking. By the time dinner came by I was very stoned, like too much for my own comfort. My aunt and uncle were there too along with my little cousin, who was like 4 at the time. I went upstairs to join my family and thought I could keep it together long enough for a quick dinner and nobody would be the wiser. That was not the case. I was so stoned that I could not look at anyone, so I just awkwardly stared at my food and gave one-word answers when my family tried to talk to me. It made things incredibly uncomfortable for everyone. After about 15 minutes I could not take it anymore, so I just picked up my plate and went downstairs to my room. My mom followed me and wanted to know what the hell was wrong with me. I admitted to her that I ate a weed brownie and was incredibly stoned and asked if she could just leave me alone because I was too high to deal with things right now. She was cool about it and waited until I came down to yell at me about ruining Thanksgiving dinner. When someone asks if I've seen a movie and I lie and say yes to fit in. When they ask for my favorite part or my opinion on a part I'm exposed. Taking out your P.P is certainly one strategy. Sometimes the worst thing that can happen is that you do make it, because when you do fake it to make it, you still have to fake it to keep it. I'm still in the same career field faking that I care about numbers and competition and wearing nice clothes. Advice to me younger self, if you have to fake it till you make it, you don't want to make it. Same boat cubicle drone here running the rat race, so I don't get fired, just so I can pay my mortgage for a house that I'm not even sure I wanted to get. Worked with a successful guy whose reputation was he spends 50% of his time on the job working on his old job and 50% on his next job. Was true. Unfortunately he piloted his plane into a set of power lines, so he became an electrician. I work as an accountant with a theater background. I'm 6 years in, and I'm working solo with no one above me in the company besides the owners. I have an audit, a $16 million lot to acquire, and another company we just purchased. This is the tipping point, I'm sure. This is exactly what consultants are for. Hire Deloitte or Accenture and get a promotion for your executive leadership. We need a third party to give us an objective assessment during the M&A. This will reduce our risk and better position us to integrate our solutions and go-to-market strategy. They have no money for this and expect that to be me. There's no real employees besides the owners and technically the owner's son. This happened pretty recently. There was this one girl in my big group of friends that I just couldn't stand, but everyone else's liked her. So I just went with it and pretended that I liked her. Well, one night we were all getting drunk and one of my friend's houses, and I was asked to tell a secret, and I told everyone including her that I hated her. Turns out almost everyone else felt the same. Pretending to be happy and having it backfire on your actual mental health. Because it takes so much energy and you feel like a fraud. But if you pretend to be happy on the outside, eventually you'll feel happy on the inside. When you realize you don't know who you are anymore. I know who I am. I'm a dude playing the dude, disguised as another dude. So I'm sort of in this situation now. I know how to do my specific job, but due to me being hired late and getting thrown into the job, I didn't really onboard correctly with the company I actually work for. I work in outreach, so I'm off-site 10 months/year. Well, my boss resigned last week and now I'm in limbo cause I have been there long enough where I should know where things are and who is who and how things run. But I know nothing and just sort of kept to myself and did my own thing while on site. I'm slightly worried that, now that I don't have a direct boss, that if I'm told to do something I will have no clue how to do it. Not exactly my fault because of the situation, but I foresee an awkward conversation in my future. Easy. Always ask how would you like it done? Ex-boss did it this way. How about you? Got a part-time job as a bartender to help with bills. Told them I knew how to bartend. I can pour a whiskey, coke and beer, so just figured I'd pick up the rest as I went along. First week I was serving to get to know the menu and someone called in sick. Owner makes me bartend. So I'm doing fine. Just beers and a few mixed drinks. Then a party of about 40 people coming from a wedding come in and starts asking for all these different shots, different specialty drinks, etc. Totally pooped my pants. Dating a close friend that I wasn't even remotely attracted to. I thought the feelings that I was supposed to have would kick in, but they didn't. What was it that made you want to date them? Low self-esteem.